What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of High Mythology, the show where we get higher than a flying peacock.
I sure am.
And tell you guys silly stories from mythology and folklore. Tonight, we will be bringing you some Italian folk tales. Italian bitch, as my script says. Italian bitch.
I was watching my favorite episode.
Oh, freaking Morty.
Yeah.
Aw, bitch.
Aw, bitch.
Yeah.
Love you, bitch.
Nice. We got four little folk tales for you here.
Yeah.
4 folks.
They're funny.
They're funny.
Ish.
Funny-ish. They're funny-ish.
Oh, it's a strange. Some of them are just...
Let's not toot our horn too much here. They're funny-ish.
Well, some of them are just, you know...
Most of the jokes land.
Mine don't.
Where's the... I'll give you the...
Why? Because I'm too high to fucking get it.
Yeah. Turn depression
I will
into a
literally
joke with one
stare
easy
at you
womp.
for a minute
Yeah.
until I figure it out in my brain. Like, it could be the simplest joke, and I'm like, what?
Fuck did you just say to me, kid? Yeah.
I get it now. That's funny.
Anyway, moving on
We shall start.
with story number 1, the story of the dragon and the enchanted filly.
You want some of this shit?
Yeah.
There was once a king and a queen who had no children. The royal couple constantly prayed for a baby. And when I say pray, they were constantly fucking.
They were praying, but they were doing it wrong.
Yeah. You can't get pregnant in the butt, dude.
Yeah, no matter how many times he puts it in my butt, I'm just not getting pregnant.
They gave generously to the poor.
That's nice. That's good of them.
At last, the queen found herself with child, and the king sent for the astrologers to find out if it would be a boy or a girl, and under what star it would be born.
Yep.
The astrologers replied, "You will have a boy, who the minute he turns 20 will take a wife." Hey!
Damn, you guys get deep with the predictions.
And in the same instant he will kill her. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Otherwise he'll turn into a dragon.
Uh-oh.
What the fuck? How the fuck did the stars say
Well,
that?
you're the guy who called an astrologer to ask him questions. Yeah.
They come up with all sorts of weird shit. They look like weird things and different
I just
symbols.
got back from a fish tour and I did a handful of mushrooms and you come up to me asking about your kid?
Right? The king and queen were all smiles when the astrologers informed them that they would have a son and would marry at the onset of 20 years.
It's good he'll get married. Kind of sad he's going to have to kill her and all, but, you know, at least he's doing stuff with his life.
It's true. It's true. But upon hearing the rest of the prophecy, they burst into tears. The son was born and grew into a fine young man.
Yeah, I don't know. He grew into a fine young man. Ah!
That's true. That was no little comfort to his parents, who nevertheless shuddered at the thought of his terrible fate. On his 20th birthday approaching, they sought a wife for him and asked for the hand of the Queen of England.
He's going to kill his wife. We might as well make this political, right?
Exactly. Now, the Queen of England had a talking filly, that is a horse, who told her owner everything and was beyond all doubt her best friend.
I'm a bit of a gossip.
As soon as the queen became engaged, she spread the word to the filly. And the filly, a bewitched animal who knew everything, says,
"Oh, you probably shouldn't celebrate, honey. The truth of the matter is you're totally fucked."
And she revealed the prince's strange destiny. The queen was horrified and wondered what she should do now. And the filly said,
"Okay, listen here. Tell your bridegroom's father the Queen of England will not ride to the wedding in a carriage, but on horseback. That way I can continue to be part of the story. Come wedding day, you will mount me. Just mount me good. And proceed to the church.
Throw that leg right over.
Throw that leg right over and just get all up in it." The instant I paw the ground, throw your arms around my neck, it will just totally bounce.
In the wedding procession, the filly, draped in gala trappings, stood beside the bridegroom's carriage, while on her sat the Queen of England in her wedding dress. Every now and then the queen peered through the carriage window at the bridegroom with a sword on his lap, and at her in-laws holding watches and awaiting the exact time when he had been born. Suddenly, the filly pawed the ground with all of her might.
He's just leading into his fate. Yep, I mean, that's what the guy on mushrooms said the day before I was born. So, might as well just lean into it.
Yeah. Suddenly, the filly pawed the ground with all of her might, and then sped off like lightning, with the bride holding on for dear life. The fatal hour had struck, and the bridegroom's parents dropped their watches. Right before their eyes, the king's son turned into a dragon, sending the king, queen, and courtiers fleeing for their life from the overturned carriage. The filly reached a farmhouse and drew to a halt. She told the queen,
"Just mount and go on in. Tell the farmer to give you his clothes in exchange for your royal ones. He'll totally do it. He loves to cross-dress."
The farmer could hardly believe he was getting a real queen's dress, and a wedding dress at that.
Yes, queen.
In exchange, he gave her his coarse shirt and breeches. The queen came back out dressed as a farmer, jumped into the saddle, and they continued on her way. They came to a palace of a second king, and the filly said,
"This time, my dear, you'll be found out."
No. Did I not read?
"Just mount and go in and tell the farmer you want his clothes." Yeah.
Shit. I didn't write it in. Here you go. You get to read from the book now.
Go to the stables. Go to the stables and see if they'll engage you with a stable boy. Everybody loves stable boys.
Thank you. Like it's key.
Go be a stable boy. Shoveling poop is totally what you're destined for.
She did, impressing the people as a bright-eyed boy who had also had the fine filly. So they said, "We'll hire you with your filly to work for us here." Now the king had a son, the girl's exact age. When I say the girl, I say the Queen of England.
The Queen of England!
The boy no sooner saw the new groom.
Was it Elizabeth? She
Elizabeth
was pretty old.
Now the king had a son, the girl's exact age, and the boy no sooner saw the new groom than a certain thought struck him, which he confided to his mother.
"Mama, I may be wrong, but I believe that new stable boy is a girl, and the one that appeals to me."
His mother replied, No. You're all wrong. If you want to find out for sure, take him to the garden and show him the flowers. If he makes a bouquet, then you'll know your stable boy is actually a girl. If he pulls a flower and sticks it in his mouth, he is a man.
The penis metaphors all over that garden. Just go show her your flowers.
Yeah, well, your flower is your vagina, right? Take her to a field of vaginas.
Take her to a field of vaginas and show her your peen.
The prince called the stable boy into the garden and said,
"Would you like to make a bouquet of flowers?"
But the filly, who knew everything, had already warned the false stable boy, who replied,
"No, I'm okay."
And she pulled a blossom and stuck it in her mouth. When the prince related the incident to the queen replied, "What did I tell you? He's a man for sure." The prince says,
"I don't care, Mama. I'm more convinced than ever that stable boy is really a girl."
The queen says, "Try something else then. Invite him to the table to cut the bread. If he holds it up to his chest, your stable boy is actually a girl.
If he holds it up to his chest like boobies.
If he holds it away from him to cut it, then he's a man. This time, too, the filly warned her mistress, who held the bread away from her like a man. The prince was still not convinced, though, and his mother said, "Well, there's only one thing left. It's to see him fence. I bet you can't hold a sword. Arrange a match." The filly taught the girl all the subtles of fencing, but concluded,
"This time, my dear, I'm pretty sure you're fucked. I think they're gonna figure you out. You know prize fencer, if you know what I mean."
no fault could ever be found with her fencing, but in the end, she fainted from exhaustion.
I'm a perfectionist.
And that way, they finally discovered she was a girl.
Oh, that is not a penis.
The prince was so deeply in love by now that he was resolved at all costs to marry her. The mother exclaimed, "Marry her without any idea who she is? Preposterous!"
Preposterous.
An itch. Sorry. They asked her to tell her story, and upon hearing that she was the Queen of England, the prince's mother made no more objections to the wedding, which was celebrated with a great pomp. A little later, the new wife found herself with child. She was like 8, 10 now. Fuck.
What do you mean? She was like 20 when they were getting married.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they kept calling her a girl, so I assumed she was a little girl. Sorry. You're probably confused by my voices now.
And now she might be, I don't know.
I mean,
yeah, I guess he was 20. We knew that much.
Mm-hmm. At least that much. Anyway. A little later, the new wife found herself a child when the king was summoned to war. But being an old man, he sent his son in his place. The prince urged his parents to write to him as soon as the baby was born. He mounted his wife's filly and rode off to battle. But before leaving, however, the filly gave her mistress 3 hairs from her mane, saying,
"Listen, I'm going to need you to hide these under your tits. Break them in an emergency and I'll come to your aid. And don't mind the fact that I might bang your husband."
In due time, the princess gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl, who were the most beautiful children you ever saw. The king and queen wrote their son the good news at once, and now the messenger was riding to the prince with the letter, a dragon laid and waiting for him midday to the battlefield. It was none other than the other king's son who had turned into a monster on his wedding day. Seeing the messenger approach, it blew its noxious breath down the road, and the man fell from his saddle into a deep sleep. Then the dragon pulled the letter from the messenger's pocket and read it, and he forged a new one saying the princess had borne 2 dogs.
That is a skilled dragon. I've heard
male.
of dragons doing many things, but none being a master forger.
Yeah, here's
he
your
puts on
first.
his little glasses. Hold on.
A male and a female, thus turning the whole town against her. This letter went into the pocket of the messenger, who, finding nothing amiss upon his awakening, got back onto his horse and rode to the prince. When the prince read the letter, he turned as white as a sheet, but said nothing. He sat down immediately and wrote a reply. "Be thy male dogs or females, keep them for me and take good care of my wife."
Aww.
On the way back, the messenger was again spotted by the dragon and put to sleep by its breath as he came down the road. The dragon replaced the letter the messenger bore with the one that read, "Burn the wife and the children at the stake in the town square. If king and queen do not comply, they too shall go up in flames."
Damn,
better.
dragon.
That's better. Such a reply threw the town into an alarm. What was the meaning of the prince's fury? But instead of burning those innocent souls, the king and queen put the princess into a boat along with the children, 2 nurses, food, water, and 4 oarsmen, and secretly launched them onto the sea. Then carried to the town square 3 dummies resembling the princess and her babies, and set them on fire. The citizens who had grown to love the princess were outraged and vowed revenge.
Revenge.
The princess sailed across the sea and was put ashore with her babies. She was walking along the deserted strand when before her loomed the dragon. She had already given herself and the children up for doomed when she remembered the 3 hairs from her filly's mane. She pulled them from her bosom, broke one, and saw an impenetrable thicket instantly spring up around her. But the dragon plunged into it and twisted its way right through. She broke another hair, and out gushed a river wide and deep. And the dragon had time in the swift current. Had a time in the swift current, but he finally got across the river as well. She frantically broke the last hair as the dragon was about to seize her, and a tongue of fire shot up and expanded into a mighty fire. But the dragon passed through the fire too, and had her in his hands. When onto the shore galloped the filly. Nee! Your horse is here to save you. I think this is Tina's fantasy from Bob's Burgers. They faced one another, filly and dragon, and they began to fight. The dragon was taller, but I'm assuming this is like a Komodo dragon.
That's not a very big dragon. Okay, let's be honest, it was a lizard. But it was the Geico lizard.
It's like Mushu size?
Yeah. I was thinking like the Geico lizard, if it's that good with calligraphy.
But the filly reared and kicked and bit so ferociously that she laid him low and crushed him to bits. The princess rushed up to embrace the filly, but her joy was short-lived, for the filly closed her eyes and hung her head, and dropped lifeless to the ground. The princess wept as though she had lost her own sister, recalling all that the filly had done for her. She was there weeping with her children when she happened to look up and see a large palace she didn't remember seeing before. Moving closer, she noticed a beautiful lady at the window motioning her to come inside. She entered with her children, and the lady embraced her, saying,
"Did you bring me any cigarettes?"
Vodka.
It's crazy the things you miss when you're a horse. "Oh, you don't recognize me, but I'm the filly. I was under a spell and couldn't change back into a woman until I had killed the dragon. Really, really strange, specific spell. But, of all fucking things, when you broke the hairs of mine, I left your husband on the battlefield, though. He might be dead. I came just running straight to you, kill the dragon, and now I broke the spell, and now I could really use a vodka tonic and a Virginia Slim cigarette."
Let's leave them for the time being and return to the husband when he saw the filly flee from the battlefield. He thought to himself, something must have happened to my wife. And hurried to win the war so he could go home. You were just taking your fucking sweet time, you stupid...
It was kind of just one of those for fun kind of wars.
When he got back to town, all the citizens rose up against him. They screamed, "Tyrant! Monster! What crime had that poor woman and her children committed?"
Taxation without representation. No, sorry. Wrong rally.
He couldn't for the life of him understand what the people were talking about. When his father and mother, wrathful and grief-stricken, produced the letter received from him, he said, "This is not for me." He showed them the letter he had received, and they realized that both letters had been forged by no telling whom. After rounding up all the mariners who had rowed his wife to the deserted shore, the prince put out to sea with them immediately. He came to the spot where they had disembarked and saw a dead dragon and then the dead filly, and lost all hope. But while he was weeping, he heard his name called, and it was a beautiful lady at the palace window. He went inside, and the lady announced that she was the filly and led him into a room where found his wife and their children. They hugged and kissed, wept and cried. Then, together with the beautiful lady who had been a filly, they departed. Everyone was overjoyed to have them back, and from that time on, they were always happy together, as happy could be.
Happy as happy could be. But the dragon guy, he died, and his family ended up going into poverty after that. So.
They're never going to be able to have another kid now.
Yeah. Well, and the dragon's son kind of tried to kill the Queen of England, so they're pretty much in exile.
That is very true.
Yeah, they live in disgrace.
They're shit out of luck.
Shit out of luck. On to story number 2.
Good luck, bitch. Everybody.
The 5 scapegraces.
Woo! In Meghly, there was a mother and father who had one son. And this son was a devil if there ever was one. He was always pawning something or another or else selling it outright. He stayed out all night and, in short, was hard cross for the 2 old people to bear. One evening his mother said, "Husband, take that boy. That boy will be the death of us. Let's make whatever sacrifice necessary and send him away." The next day his father bought him a horse and borrowed 100 ducats to give him. When his son came in at noon, his father said, "My son, you can't go on like this. No. Here's 100 ducats and a horse. Get out. Start ordering for yourself." The boy replied,
Bruh. I guess I'll go to Naples.
So he set out riding this way and that. And in the middle of a field, he spotted a man on all 4s. The boy from Meghly calls,
Bruh. Yeah. What are you doing there? What the fuck what's your name, bro? Brosifini.
The youth replied,
Lightning.
Alright, I think this is where I just gave him the name Alberto.
Hurly
Because all
hur.
it says is the boy from Meghly. It never says his name.
The boy.
Alberto says,
Bro, what's your last name, Lightning?
and Lightning says,
Streak.
Alberto says.
He's about to get shown Pete. Bro, why that name? And he opens up his trench coat.
Lightning says,
Because my specialty is chasing hair.
Is that what it is? Chasing the hair?
Chasing the hair.
Not chasing them girls?
Chasing them girls.
He no sooner spoke than one darted by. In all 4 bonds, he caught it. The boy from Meghly says,
Bro, I got an idea. Like, come with me to Naples, bro. I got like 100 ducats. We'll fucking rage.
Lightning didn't have to be begged, and the 2 of them departed, one on horseback and the other on foot. Soon they met another, and Alberto asks,
Bro, what's your name?
The youth says.
Blind straight.
Alberto asks.
Bro, like, what the fuck kind of name is that?
The words weren't out of his mouth before a flock of crows flew overhead, pursued
Birds.
by a falcon. Alberto says,
Bro, like, let's see what you can do.
Blind Straight says.
I shall put out the left eye of the falcon, bring him down.
With that, he drew his bow, and the bird dropped to the ground with an arrow through his left eye. Alberto says,
Bro, like, you want to be friends and, like, come with us to Naples, like, party?
smoke one down, get some hot
Yeah, we're gonna go to Buffalo Wild Wings and hit hit the $5 appetizers and not leave a tip, bro. I'm gonna take a big shit in their bathroom and I'm not gonna flush because I'm that much of an asshole. That's why my parents sent me away.
Oh my God, he's really Blind Straight says.
Certainly, I'll come. Let's go. Oodly hoo. Away we go. What's up with that little cocaine addict? Ooh. Because my specialty is chasing hares.
They reached.
You've said that already, Lightning. But my specialty is chasing hares.
Yeah, bro. We know.
Yeah, okay.
They reached Brindisi, a port 107 doors. Stevedores were working.
Stevedores.
Stevedores?
Stevedore.
What the fuck is that?
Professional Steve.
Huh. Okay, bear with me. I'm sorry. This is just not clicking in my brain as I'm reading it. They reach Brindisi in a port 100 stevedores were working.
Stevedores.
But there was one in particular who bore a heavier burden than a mule, as though it were nothing at all. All three travelers exclaimed,
Bro. Let's go see if he wants to be bros. Yeah, my name's Lightning, and I like to chase hares.
The youth from Magali asks,
Bruh, what's your name?
the man says.
My name's Strongback.
Alberto says,
Bruh, guess what? We want you to come party with us, man. I got 100 ducats, and we're going to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're totally gonna just trash the place and then skip out on the tab, bro. When I've run out of food and money, then all my homies here got my back, right?
Imagine the dismay of the other stevedores over the departure of Strongback, who was such a help to them all. They began crying. We'll give you.
I got nothing. Oh, yeah. We'll give you another 4 pieces pences. We'll give you 4 pences to stay with us.
Strongback says,
No, leisure is better. Eating, drinking, moonlight walks on the beach, lap dances, fancy hotels, shitting in a Buffalo Wild Wings bathroom.
all 4 of them moved onward and stopped off at a tavern, where they ate like pigs and drank all the wine they could hold.
Woo!
Then they were again on their way. They had
Happy
not gone
hour.
5 or 6 miles before they ran into a youth with his ear to the ground. Alberto asks,
Bruh, what the fuck are you doing down there, bro? What the fuck is your name?
he replied,
Name's Rabbit Ears. I hear all the conversations in the world, be they kings, ministers, or lovers, or your mother.
The youth from Magali says,
Bruh, let's see if you're telling the truth. Put your ears to my asshole and see if you can hear this fart. Yeah. And listen to what they're saying in the Magley, bro, in the house in front of the column.
He replied, putting his ear to the ground,
Just a minute there.
and says,
I hear 2 old people talking by the fire. The old women say to the old man, Hey, girl, you went into debt, husband. It was worth it to get all that devil out of our house and have a little peace at last. That little piece of shit.
The youth from Magali says,
Bruh, you've not made that up, bro. My mom and dad,
definitely so.
totally hate me. Yeah, I left an upper decker in my dad's bathroom, and we don't have plumbing, so it's just kind of on his shelf.
They resumed their journey and came to a place where many bricklayers were working and sweating under a hot morning sun. Alberto asks,
How do you fuckers work at this hour? It's fucking hot, bro.
They looked. Oh, God, I don't think I do that. Those fuckers said, How do we manage it? We have somebody who cools off.
Is it my bro up there pissing on you guys? Oh, sick burn.
They looked and saw a youth fanning the workers with his breath.
Yeah, turn up the humidity.
Alberto asks.
Bro, what's your name, man?
The youth replied.
Puffarello, I can imitate the winds. That's the north wind. That's the south wind. That's the fucking east wind.
And he went on imitating winds blowing with all of his might. He said,
That's my wind. If you order a hurricane, I can even produce a hurricane.
He blew, and the trees began crashing to the ground, and rocks flying through the air with all the furies of a god.
Oh, it's coming from the east.
They told him, "That'll do, pig," and he calmed down.
Yes.
The youth from Magali says,
Bruh, I got like $100. You want to come party with us?
he answered,
Fuck yeah, man. Let's go. Fuck this place, says the east wind.
They made a rock-licking band all together, telling one tall tale after another, and they came to Naples.
This is how the Motley Crew was formed.
The first thing they did was go and eat, naturally. Next, they went to a barber, and then dressed up and went for a stroll, to lord it over everybody. And in 3 days' time, the 100 ducats were running low, and the youth from Magali said,
Brosephuses, bros of mine. The air of Naples, bro, it's just like not for me. Like, this scene's totally lame now. Let's go to Paris. I hear it's like way fucking better. Like they let you do anything in Paris.
After a long distance, they arrived in Paris. On the city gate was written, "The man who defeats the king's daughter in a foot race will have her as his wife. But whoever loses his head."
Ah.
The youth from Magali says,
Bro, Lightning, here's where you come up. My name's Lightning, and I like to catch hares.
God, you're like that fucking, that squirrel from Over the Hedge.
He's broken. Yeah. Bro, someone gave Lightning way too much meth this morning.
He went up to the royal palace and spoke to the steward.
Bruh, Brosa, I'm like traveling here for like my own pleasure, because like I heard like kind of anything goes in Paris. And like this morning I went into the city and I was like, oh, fucking somebody's gonna challenge the king's daughter if they want. And I was like, hey, I got a homie, bro.
The steward replies, "My son, just between the two of us, she is a mad woman. She does not wish to get married and is constantly thinking of all these tricks to send many, many fine men to their death. It grieves me to see you join them. This is some Targaryen shit. She just fucks her brother."
Brother fucker.
Alberto says,
Bro. But bro, go like tell her to fucking pick the day, bro. Like I'm down. I'm ready. Tell her come on. Come at me, bro.
everything was set for Sunday. The youth from Magali went to tell his companions.
Oh shit, bro, I'm busy Sunday.
They went off on the inn to eat a hearty meal and plan what to do.
B-dubs!
Lightning Streak says,
My name's Lightning, and I like
cocaine.
You know what? You know what you should do? Send me to her on Saturday evening with a note saying, like, you have a fever and can't race, but that you're sending me to race in your place, and I'll just do, like, all the math in the morning just like I do every morning when I wake up, because math is my cereal that keeps me going. If I win, she'll still marry you, and if I lose, you're still under the obligation to go to your death, you know? Instead of just telling him to take me, which I hope you wouldn't do, because we're friends, right?
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win. Win-win-win-win. Win-win-win-win-win.
So that's what they did. And Sunday morning, the people lined both sides of the street that had been swept free of every speck of dust. At the appointed hour, out came the princess dressed as a ballerina and took her place beside the Lightning Streak. Everyone looked on, wide-eyed, and the signal sounded. And the princess was off like a hare, but in 4 bounds, Lightning Streak passed and left her 100 feet behind.
You accidentally trampled her and murdered her because, you know, my name's Lightning and I like to catch hares.
Just imagine the applause and cheer. Everyone shouted, "Hoorah, Italian youth! She's finally met her match. That mad woman! That will sober her."
That will sober her up. Ha.
She went home quite long-faced, and the king said,
My daughter, such a contest was your idea, and now it's your turn to be angry. Whatever good will it do, huh?
but let's leave the princess and turn to Lightning Streak. He went back to the inn and sat down to a feast with his companions. Right in the middle of it, Rabbit Ear says, and put his ear to the ground as he always did, and said,
We're in trouble. The princess says she won't have you for a husband at any cost. She says the race won't count, that another one must be run. She's asking us sorceresses to find a way to make you lose. And all the sorcerers tell her is she'll cast a spell over the precious stone, have it set in a ring, the princess to give you the ring before the race, and then once you have it on your finger, you'll no longer be able to remove it, and like your legs will give way beneath you. Did you get all that?
Blind Straight said,
What? That's where I come in. Before the start of the race, hold your hand out, and I'll shoot the stone off the ring with an arrow, just like I do. Then we'll see what our princess can do. Huh?
They all shouted, Wonderful, wonderful,
Wonderful, wonderful.
and worried no more about it. The next morning, a note came to the sick youth from the princess congratulating him on his friend's skill. But if he didn't mind, she wanted to run another race next Sunday. Sunday, even more people lined the street than the first time. At the appointed hour, she came out with her legs barred like an acrobat's.
Is it safe to say that she's racist?
Bared. Like an acrobat's. Wow. She approached the Italian and offered him a ring.
Good youth, since you are the only one to ever defeat me in a race, I am presenting you with this ring as a remembrance of your friend's bride.
She slipped the ring onto his finger, and his legs started to tremble and give way beneath him. Blind Straight, who was looking straight at him, cried,
Hold out your hand.
Slowly and with great difficulty, he stretched out his hand, and right at that moment, the trumpet sounded. The princess had already run past him, and Blind Straight drew his bow, and an arrow knocked the ring off. And Lightning Streak
he smoked that rock, didn't he? He picked up the rock and he put it in his little rock pipe and smoked it.
Lightning Streak in 4 bounds was right on the heels of the princess. He leapt over her as in a game of leapfrog, causing her to fall on her face, and he ran on ahead.
She's lucky he didn't tear her head off like he does to the other hares he catches.
But the real show was the people. Cheers went up and hats were tossed into the air, rejoicing
Hurrah!
over the defeat of the haughty princess.
Rejoice, for
They
that
picked him
hottie
up
has
and
been
carried him
defeated.
off in triumph over the town on their shoulders. When the 5 scapegraces were all at last alone, they began hugging and slapping one another on their backs.
On their butts. Yeah. Good
Smacking
game.
their butts.
Good game.
Good game.
Yeah. Oh, good game,
The youth-
everybody.
The youth from Magley says,
Bro, get your finger out of my butt. Like, we're fucking loaded now, and like, tomorrow I'll be the king and shit. And like, I'd totally like to see anyone try to turn you out of the fucking palace, brosifs. Because it's gonna be like the bro palace, you know what I mean? Tell me what you want me to name each of you, and like, I'll give you fucking jobs and shit, bros.
each one said something.
We'll run this kingdom into the ground.
Rabbit Ear says,
Chamberlain.
Blind Straight says,
Minister.
Strongback says,
General. Per fellow.
Rabbit Ear says,
Pufferello says.
oh, sorry, Pufferella.
Oh, I want to be charged of the cocaine.
I want to be in charge of the cooking.
I want the cocaine.
Rabbit Ear says,
God damn it, cocaine was my thing. Yeah. What is Rabbit? Rabbit Ear says Chamberlain. He's already said.
oh, shit.
Yeah. Lightning says.
Anyone else?
chambermaid, or the royal butt wiper, or just anything where I can get up all in there. I want the cocaine, but Pufferello took the cocaine, so now I'll just be like, I'll be the guy that sucks dick for cocaine. I mean,
I
I'll
thought you
fucking
were
do
on
it.
meth.
Meth, coke, I don't
He
care.
wants Pufferello,
Whatever
wants
I can
cocaine.
get, whatever I
It
can get, I'll
looks
put it in my
like
body.
fucking lightning wants meth.
Meth, ooh, meth.
But Rabbit Ears motioned to them to be silent, saying,
A message is coming through.
and he threw himself on the ground to listen. At the royal palace, they were talking about offering a large sum of money as a settlement and refusing him the princess's hand. The strongback announced,
Here's where I come into the picture. I'll make them pay, down to their very souls. I will murder people with my hands for you, Alberto.
The next morning, the youth from Magley dressed up and went to the palace. Outside the throne room, he met a counselor. My son, will you take advice from someone older than you? If you marry that mad woman, you're going to do nothing but take the devil into your home. Instead, ask her for a sum of money that you wish and go in peace. The youth replied,
Bruh, like, thanks for the advice and everything, old timer. But, like, I don't like just naming numbers because, like, so what? Maybe I don't know any numbers. And, like, that doesn't make me stupid just because, like,
I don't know how
I
to
don't
count.
know numbers, you know? I've heard, like, the word 5 before. I don't know what that means. You know, is that my fault? Is that your fault? Or is that my parents'?
It's a system.
It's a system, bro. How about this? I'll send a friend of mine to you, and like you can load his back up with like all the gold he can carry.
So Strongback showed up with 1,500-pound sacks and said,
Aha! My friend sent me here for you to load me down.
all the people at court looked at one another, certain that this young man was mad. He said,
I'm serious. Like, hurry the fuck up.
They entered the treasury and proceeded to fill one of the sacks. 20 persons were then needed to lift it. When they finally got it onto his back, they asked, will that do? He asked. Strongback asked.
Bro, are you joking? To me, that's like a tiny straw.
They went on filling sacks and exhausted the piles of gold. And then they started on the pile of silver. And then all their silver ended up on Strongback. And now they took up the copper, and not even that sufficed. They crammed in all the candlesticks and cockeries, and the Strongback still did not stoop under the weight. They asked, how do you feel now? Strongback says,
Feels like you guys are a pretty broke castle. Like, I could probably just carry the whole castle away. Is that okay with you?
his companions came along and saw a mountain advancing all on its own on 2 little feet. And they all left the city in gay spirits. They had gone 5 or 6 miles when Rabbit Ears, who bent over to listen from time to time, said,
Friends, at the royal palace, they are in council. Can you imagine what the counselor is saying? Majesty, is it possible that 4 good-for-nothings have left us stark naked? He took their clothes, too. We can't even buy a penny's worth of bread. They took everything. They even took my wife's virginity.
I think that's long over.
You would think. Quick, let's send a regiment after them and have them blown to bits.
The youth from Magley says,
Bruh. If that's the case, we're fucked, bro. Like, we got out all the other difficulties, but well, we got against shotguns. Precious.
Pufferillo exclaimed.
Silly boys! Have you forgotten that I can whip up a hurricane? I'll knock every one of them down with a little, you know what I mean? I'll blow every one of them. You go on ahead and I'll show you what I can do.
Hoofbeats were heard just then. As soon as they came within range, Pufferillo began blowing gently at first, then stronger,
He's just blowing those dudes.
blinding them with clouds of dust. Then, with all of his might, and the soldiers fell beneath their horses. Trees were uprooted, walls crumbled, canyons went whirling through the air. When he was certain of having dashed them all to bits, Pufferilla rejoined his companions and said,
The king of France was not expecting that. Let him remember it and tell his sons.
So they returned to Magali by the grace of God, divided up the fortune, each taking 4 million, and whenever they were all together after that, they would say, Down with the king of France and that mad daughter of his.
That mad da-da-da.
That's what I got for you. And you must come back to part 2, I believe.
I think we're going to break this up. That's the end of that story. Pufferello blew all those dudes. Right on their horses. He just lined them up and he was like, I'll show you what I can do.
Just deep throat.
Deep throat. Wow, Pufferello really... Well, he said he was going to blow them, but I really didn't expect it to go down like that.
Jesus. So yeah, you'll have to stay tuned for part 2,
Stay
guys.
tuned for part 2 next week. Italian bitches.
Yeah.
Italian bitches. Yeah. Hope you folks enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. I think that last one was pretty silly.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have
All the
scapegraces.
just a collection of assholes. Bro!
Bro.
Come on.
One's
I got
on crack.
$100.
One's on meth. One's on
What's
fucking
up, man?
cocaine.
Yeah.
One just wants to be a Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I feel like the strong man had the most together.
Hup. I've got a family to go back to.
No, he doesn't.
I don't. Yeah.
That's because he got a
They
Cajun
left me
queen
for
to
a pack
find.
of cigarettes.
His name was Big John.
Big John.
He's
His
got a
name was
Cajun queen.
Pufferello.
That was their Cajun queen.
He's got to go find the guy from the other story that got the queen's dress.
Shit.
Yeah, that's his lover.
It's true.
His true lover. Yeah, hope you folks enjoyed this.
Yes.
Had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Check out our merch store, teespring.com, teespring.com/high-mythology-merch. Check it out. Browse around. Buy some stuff.
Yeah.
Show it off. Show us
Proceeds
pictures.
come back to us.
Yeah, they do.
Come.
Yeah,
Help
they
us.
help pay for the weed bill.
They do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, tell your friends about us. It's all word of mouth, baby. So if you got friends
Yeah.
to listen to podcasts, be like,
And like silly stories
Hey.
and comedy and people getting high.
check this out.
Or you can get high and then listen to this because then it's actually more
Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah, get high with us. Yeah.
Nobody said that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm always smoking weed. So
I'm always smoking weed.
technically, we're always
Yeah.
smoking together. Aren't we?
Yeah. You folks have a good night, and we will see you next week for Italian Bitches Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.